Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. I'm back for another Roscoe's recap, and this viewing party was for All Stars 8 episode 11. And the guests this week were Jimbo and Kandy Muse, who are both finalists on All Stars 8. Today we're going to be talking about why Kandy refused to eliminate Jimbo, Naysha reveals backstage tea about an unaired confrontation in the workroom between all the queens, and Kandy says that she was, quote, bored during the season and comes clean about why she stirred up the situation between Heidi and Jimbo. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. So they started off by talking about the end of last week's episode, which was when Kandy was in the top and chose to eliminate Jessica instead of Jimbo. And Naysha said that Kandy had received a lot of hate online for eliminating Jessica, but people were also saying, quote, you literally just gave the crown to Jimbo. And Naysha asked Kandy what her thought process was. Kandy said that she had just watched a TikTok the night before, which was Monet X Change and Naomi Smalls, who said it was a dumb decision for her to keep Jimbo. And Kandy said, quote, here's the thing, if I'm going to win, I'm going to win whether Jimbo is there or not. Kandy also said that the amount of challenge wins you have does not mean anything, and she used Shea Coulee as an example because on All Stars 5, Shea had 2 challenge wins, but Miss Cracker had 3 challenge wins, but Shea ultimately still won the season. Kandy also said that she and Jimbo had a pact even before the season started that they would save each other, and the two of them are really close friends. So Kandy said that regardless of the prize money, she would never break a pact and send home a close friend. And Kandy said, quote, I don't know how you bees roll, but I don't roll like that. Kandy also brought up that people had told her that Naomi Smalls sent Manila home in All Stars 4 and it didn't affect Naomi's career, or Pangina sent Jimbo home on UK vs The World and it also didn't affect their careers. And Kandy said, quote, I am a plus-size brown man. I promise you, if I would have sent Jimbo home, it would have affected my career. Kandy also said that she's not stupid, and when she was deciding which lipstick to pick, it did cross her mind that she could send Jimbo home and get rid of a big competitor. But ultimately, Kandy said she's going to vote however she wants, and when she sent James Mansfield home, she did that because she wanted James to go, and the same applied for Jessica, that it was just her time to go. And Kandy finished by saying that she has to live with the choices that she makes on Drag Race, whereas the audience get to just go about their daily lives and not worry about the consequences, but for the queens it can really affect their careers and their bookings. And I'd like to take a moment to say thank you to the sponsor of this video, Manscaped.com. Manscaped is the premium brand for men's grooming and hygiene products across the globe. Manscaped hooked me up with their Perfect Package 4.0, and I just wanted to show you some of the amazing products included inside. First you have the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, and you also have the Crop Reviver Ball Toner to keep yourself fresh down there. You'll also get the Lawnmower 4.0 Trimmer. This is Manscaped's 4th generation electric trimmer with advanced skin-safe technology, which reduces nicks and cuts on the most sensitive regions of the body. The other great thing about the Lawnmower 4.0 is that it's cordless and waterproof, so it's great to use in the shower, and there's even a light so you can easily see what you're doing. And for a limited time you'll get all of this plus 2 free gifts: the Shed Travel Bag and the Anti-Chafing Boxer Briefs. So make sure you check out manscaped.com and use my code DRAGT at checkout, and you'll get 20% off, free international shipping, plus the 2 free gifts that I mentioned earlier. Simply use the link in the description or in the pinned comment. Thanks again to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. They then moved on, and Naysha mentioned the reading challenge, which happened at the beginning of the episode. And Naysha said that a lot of jokes were cut and asked the others if they wanted to reveal any of the reads that got cut. Kandy revealed that she didn't actually have any reads prepared for the reading challenge, so when they were in the van going to set that morning, Kandy asked Jimbo to give her some reads. And Jimbo apparently gave Kandy so many of her reads that when it was time for Jimbo to do the reading challenge, she kind of, quote, choked and didn't know what to say, but they cut that out of the episode. They then moved on, and Caramel said that they had the workroom walkthroughs with RuPaul when the queens said what they were going to do for the talent show. And then RuPaul revealed that the top 2 queens this week would have the chance to double, triple, or quintuple their points, and Caramel asked how they felt about that. Naysha said, quote, Riggamorris, which is a reference to what Alyssa Edwards said in All Stars 2 when she said that it was rigged. Naysha also said that for her, it was clearly a way for production to, quote, control the narrative because it gives the top 2 queens a massive advantage with the votes. Naysha also spilled some backstage tea and said that before the reading challenge, the queens actually sat down on the couch and did a kind of mini reunion, and they all hashed out their issues from the season, but this was all cut from the episode. Naysha also said that, quote, everyone argued, and at first they brought up Heidi because she was not there because she quit the competition, and Naysha had spoken to Heidi on the phone briefly and got a gist of what happened when Heidi left the competition, and so Naysha, quote, played devil's advocate and brought it up to the other queens, particularly Kandy. Naysha said she was really annoyed that they cut all of this out because it was so good, and they went through everything such as Heidi quitting, but also LaLa Ri confronting Alexis Michelle about sending her home, and apparently that confrontation was better than the one that they used in the episode. The other hosts, Batty and Caramel, then asked what was said on the couch that was so bad that they cut it all. And Naysha said that, quote, Kandy and Jimbo are still competing, so things that they say may affect them. But what happened on the couch was basically just arguing back and forward between the queens. Kandy then leaned over and whispered something to Naysha, but you couldn't hear what she said, and it's assumed that Kandy was reminding Naysha of something, but Kandy didn't want to say it herself because she might get in trouble so close to the finale. However, this wasn't confirmed. Naysha then said, quote, basically what happened was that Alexis cried again, and everyone in the audience laughed. Naysha explained that the reason Alexis cried again was because everyone confronted Alexis and said that she got caught up in the game and she made some decisions during the competition that she may regret. Naysha also said that her favourite part of the couch talk was when Alexis said, quote, you know what, Lala, I'm sorry because you know what, I should have sent you home, and then Naysha pointed at Kandy, and Naysha said that it was, quote, so good, this is what I came for. Caramel then brought up that Jimbo had got her first lip sync win last week when she lip synced against Silky Nutmeg Ganache, and everyone cheered for Jimbo. Jimbo then said that it was really cool because, quote, Silky had been quite upset with me on Twitter about what I had decided not to say about Pangina. And just in case you don't know, I believe what Jimbo is referring to is during UK vs the World, Pangina sent Jimbo home in the 3rd episode, which was quite a shock, and Jimbo was really upset about her elimination. And then at the reunion for UK vs the World, Jimbo confronted Pangina and said a sort of sarcastic dig to Pangina and said, quote, I laid in bed and I was like, I'm gonna just talk about how bleep that stupid outfit was with her damn ponytails and all those stupid ties. Or I'm gonna talk about how bleep she looked in that dumb polka dot look. Or I'm going to talk about what a stupid bee she is. But then Ru said, release to the universe, and that's what I've done, so I'm not going to say those things. And obviously the joke was that Jimbo did say all of those things, and it was kind of a joke but also kind of shady. And at the time, Silky had tweeted after the episode criticising Jimbo and said, Pangina should have slapped the bleep out of that girl. How can you call someone a stupid bleep? Read her garments like she wasn't killing. You gave up and got eliminated. Don't come for my black ass for taking up for a POC. Hashtag drag race. And so it seemed like Silky was not happy with Jimbo for those comments that Jimbo had made about Pangina. Anyway, back to Roscoe's, and Jimbo said that Silky was very upset with her, and Jimbo had not spoken to Silky since then, apart from when she wrote to Silky saying she was sorry, and that they were sisters and they'll get over it when they're on the road together. And so when Jimbo saw that the lip sync assassin was Silky, she was a bit gagged. But they decided to dance together, and Jimbo said it was a, quote, silent agreement, and I felt it in that moment, and we just decided to have fun together, and it felt really magical. They then talked about the talent show on this week's episode, and Batty brought up the fact that many of the queens did original songs as their talent. Kandy said she had seen online that many people were kind of complaining about the fact that there were so many original songs, but Kandy explained that creating an original song is not easy. And on top of that, you have to create your own choreography and also teach it to the backing dancers because the queens are responsible for bringing their own choreography. And the queens only get about an hour with the dancers to get it all sorted. Kandy also made the point that the queens prepared their talent show numbers for the beginning of the season because usually the talent show is at the beginning. And so the fact that it came at the end of the season meant that some of the references in the talent show numbers did not really line up with what had happened throughout the season. Naysha also spilled some backstage tea about the talent show and said that there is a producer called Mandy, and during Kahana's talent show, while Kahana was doing a backflip, Mandy shouted no. And Kahana was startled and kind of mad because it's dangerous to do that when someone is doing a backflip, and apparently they had a quote full blown out argument. And Kahana said quote, "What the F, why did you effing do that?" And they were arguing back and forward. However, Naysha didn't say why Mandy had stopped Kahana, but it may have been because they needed to change the camera angles or something like that, but that's just a guess. But Naysha did say that's why things like the talent show take so long to film, because each contestant does the talent twice, plus there are breaks in filming and things like that, and the talent show took around 4.5 hours to film in total. Caramel then said, quote, "I find that suspicious. Kahana is involved with another argument. She loves that this season," and people in the audience gasped and laughed. And Caramel then brought up the moment in episode 5 where Kahana confronted Heidi about the snatch game, and then Heidi brought Kandy and Alexis into the conversation. And Heidi claimed that Kandy had said she was coming for Jimbo and wanted to send her home. And Caramel asked Kandy and Jimbo what that situation was like in the room. Kandy said that the whole situation went on for about an hour and a half, even though it was only shown for a few minutes, and you can tell that because the queens had no makeup on at the beginning, and by the end they all had a full face on. Kandy then went on and said that she has stayed quiet all season about this situation, and Kandy then said that she was going to spill the real tea on this. Kandy then said, quote, "So we were bored. I was bored on set." And apparently Kandy went to Jimbo one day and said that because Kandy was bored, she was going to tell the other girls that Jimbo is competition and imply as though they should send her home. And Jimbo told Kandy not to say that to the girls because they might actually do it, but Kandy said she was still going to say it. And then one day when the queens were in the van, Kandy jokingly said, quote, "Jimbo is big competition, get rid of her." Kandy said that everyone in the van all nodded their heads and agreed with what Kandy was saying, apart from maybe Heidi, who was more surprised. And so that's why Kandy found it, quote, interesting that when everyone was calling Kandy out, none of them admitted that they had actually agreed with what Kandy had said. But also the real reason why Kandy denied what Heidi was saying during the confrontation is because they were accusing Kandy of saying that she was, quote, gunning for Jimbo. But Kandy didn't actually say that and just said that Jimbo is competition and that they should vote her out. Kandy also said, quote, "If I was gunning for Jimbo, I could have sent her home last week." Kandy also said, quote, "Once Heidi left, in the van ride home that night, there was a queen." And Kandy paused and it looked like she wasn't going to say the queen's name, but then she said, quote, "James Mansfield," and the audience gasped and started laughing. And apparently in the van, James said, quote, "I thought sending Jimbo home was like Fight Club. We all know it, but we just weren't going to say it." And that's why Kandy was so confused that the queens all pretended like they knew nothing about the situation. Even Alexis, who backtracked during the confrontation, even though Alexis was in the van when Kandy said that. Kandy did clarify that Heidi has confirmed that she did not quit the season due to this confrontation, and that Heidi had, quote, checked out long before that. Kandy also said that the queens were bored with the season and that's why she decided to create this conversation, and that every time the queens had an opportunity to make something interesting, it turned into a, quote, sob story. And Kandy implied as though it got to the point when the queens were told to cut out the sob stories, and Kandy said, quote, "Let's turn bleep up in here because clearly no one else is going to do it." Kandy then went on to say that the queens that she would have kikied with and stirred stuff up with, such as Naysha and Monica, had already been eliminated. And she also said that Jimbo was, quote, compared to her other seasons, was playing nice. Alexis was crying every other weekend. Kasha and Darian were doing nothing. At the end of the day, I was bored, and I told Jimbo that is what I was going to do. Jimbo then said that that's not exactly how it happened, and what actually happened was that Jimbo had asked Kandy not to tell people that Jimbo was competition because people might actually eliminate her. And then later, Jimbo spoke to Heidi after they had a bit of a disagreement in Untucked about the fruity patootie look. And apparently Heidi said to Jimbo that they were cool, but Jimbo needed to check in with Kandy. And so when Jimbo spoke to Kandy, Jimbo said that Heidi had said that Kandy was going to eliminate Jimbo, and Kandy totally denied saying that. And Kandy said, quote, those specific words I never said. If you would have sat there and said, Kandy, you said Jimbo's competition, I would have said, oh yeah, but I never said I was gunning for her. Those words did not leave my mouth. And Kandy said that this topic did come up in this week's episode when the queens were sat on the couch, although it was all cut from the episode. And Kandy also said that if she wanted Jimbo gone, she could have just convinced people to do that, and she wanted to make good TV. Kandy also said that after filming, while they were on tour in the UK, Kandy did talk to Heidi about the situation, and Heidi accused Kandy of lying, and they hashed it all out and they got over it. Kandy also made the point that, quote, if you watch back seasons 2, 3, 4 and 5 of Drag Race, the girls were fighting and making iconic television. Tell me something iconic that happened on seasons 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. Nothing. Are we not making TV? Is that what we are? Is that what we represent? And Kandy said she needs to go on Big Brother or a show like that. They then moved on and talked about Alexis Michelle crying a lot on All Stars 8, and Naysha joked and said that for her, it wasn't an issue that Alexis cried because she's entitled to her feelings, but the issue was that Alexis would cry while other people were crying and telling their stories, and that it was, quote, bad timing. Caramel then brought up that Alexis had said at Roscoe's that she was really close to Jessica while on set, but their relationship wasn't shown in the edit. And Kandy looked confused and said, quote, I don't remember seeing that relationship, but anyways, and everyone laughed. And finally they got on to the Q&A, and someone asked what the queens stole from the set. Kandy said that she cut out part of the workroom wall and stole that, and she also stole a lipstick and a crew jacket. But then Kandy said that Naysha actually stole lots of stuff, and Naysha also stole a crew jacket which belonged to one of the PAs, and later the PA said that they knew one of the queens had stolen it and they needed it back because their keys were inside. But Naysha said she knew the PA was lying because Naysha had checked and all of the pockets were empty. So Naysha denied stealing the jacket, but then later someone must have told the PA that Naysha had stolen it, and the PA came to Naysha and made Naysha give the jacket back, even though there was nothing in it. And Naysha joked that she had been eliminated and asked if she could keep the jacket, but the PA said no and took it back. Naysha also said that she stole the fabric from the fabric wall and sent it to the designer to make an outfit from, and then when she arrived for press week at the start of the season, Kandy arrived and she had an outfit that was made from the fabric. And apparently Naysha's designer had made an outfit using the materials but then gave the outfit to Kandy. Naysha also said that all the girls ransacked the makeup walls at the end of the season, and that usually the makeup goes into storage between seasons, which is a waste because it will expire. And apparently the PAs wanted some of the makeup, but they weren't allowed to take it, so Naysha joked that she took the stuff instead and then gave it to the PA so they wouldn't get in trouble. So there you go, there was the Roscoe's recap for All Stars 8 episode 11. And if you'd like to hear my thoughts on this week's episode, make sure you check out my Drag Tea Reviewed podcast exclusively on Patreon, where I recap each episode of Drag Race and give my opinions on it. You can listen to my podcast on Patreon, as well as get other benefits such as early access to my videos, priority when submitting interview questions, and also shoutouts in my videos. Sign up to my Patreon today for these incredible benefits, and I'll put a link in the description. And thank you so much to my amazing Patreon members. Your support really does help my channel every single month, and I wouldn't be here without your help, so thank you all so much. So, who are you voting for the Fame Games? And who do you think will win the season out of Kandy and Jimbo? Let me know in the comments. Please make sure you like, comment and share this video as it really helps support my channel. And of course, please make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date about new uploads. Thanks for watching and I hope you'll join me again in future videos. Thank you, bye!